It continues. Hello there, welcome back to the Writing Advice Q&A. In tonight's episode, I'm going to be talking about ruining your protagonist's day. What could this involve? Tag along! Before I go on though, let me tell you, as always, that I take questions from the comments down below, so if you have a question, leave it down there and it may be featured in a video just like this one. And of course, one more thing, the following is merely just my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, instead take it as the ramblings of a silly person with a little slowpoke on their shoulder, okay? Boop! So, ruining your protagonist's day. I got a question from a dear viewer just like you, talking about a situation in which the character they wanted to write about, generally, a character they've been thinking about forever, has been really unhelpful in the act of writing. The kind of character who shrugs off anything that happens, doesn't really have a personal goal, and is kinda just going through life nonchalantly worrying about pretty much nothing. Characters like these are pretty hard to write about because they have no particular central struggle and aren't really working towards anything. As I've mentioned myself before in the past, my favorite characters are the ones that want something, or require something, or are working towards something. Driven people are usually the most exciting kind of people. People who are willing to do things to change the world, or at least change the world around them. Of course, what happens when you don't have someone like that? Well, let's talk about just that. Now, aside from the really obvious answer, and the least helpful one of them all, if your character is not helping you, then find someone else to write about. Now, that's a really easy piece of advice, and one that I guess I find myself recommending every once in a while, because for me, the core of story is character. If I'm not excited about a character, then I'm ultimately not excited about the story. The setting can be the coolest world ever with the coolest magic system, but if I don't care about the characters who are in that world, I ultimately don't care about the story. It's just the hard truth for me. Now, let's say that you really do want to write about this character, and it's someone that you've been looking forward to, or someone who means a lot to you. I can't tell you to just throw them aside and start anew. So, let's talk about that. Because the reality is this, okay? Some people will tell you that a character must have something they want. And I don't disagree with this advice. I don't think it's a hard rule, though. It's nice. It's nice when characters have something they want to do. They want to become the greatest at something. They want to achieve this thing. They want to save the world. These are all very general things, but at the core of it all, is a character willing to change the world. A character willing to take action. And that's good stuff. That's the best stuff. That's the stuff stories are made of. But what about the other kind of stories in which a character doesn't really have an immediate goal? What do we do then? We ruin their day. We ruin their freaking day. That's what we do. Because the reality is this. And Max like comfortably sits on the chair in like the evil manner. The reality is this, okay? If you really like this character, if you really love them, you have to ruin the hell out of their day. Because nothing forces a character to change than some good old-fashioned adversity, struggle, sorrow, despair, the hurdles we face along the way. That's the stuff stories are made of, some good old-fashioned adversity. Now, this could take all manners of shapes. A good example, as always, is reflect for a moment and realize, before you think that this is weird or anything, that the core characters in stories such as disaster stories or the aftermath of a great chaos like a contagion or a zombie apocalypse are characters who really don't particularly have any other goal other than surviving. And while someone may tell you that that's kind of a weak goal, I would disagree, because honestly, truth be told, don't we all want to survive at the end of the day? I think that's the most relatable of goals, being entirely honest, and especially when we are tossed into situations over which we have no control. Someone asked a long time ago, what do I do when I have a character who's really good at everything? Well, we toss them into situations in which they can't just fix the problem, they can't just wave their wand and fix everything. Great adversity, times of social change, of world chaos, of panic and fear. You may not have gotten up today and realized the story I want to put this character in should be an apocalypse story, but it's time for you to make that realization. You know, it might be better for this character to be in a world in which just merely wanting to stay put just doesn't cut it. Now, ways to make a character's life suck outside from my entire reality is slowly tipping over to the life sucks. Don't mind the doggo in the background. My life sucks zone. You can also have things revolving the people dear to them. What about that person you really care about? Are you willing to change to help them? Are you willing to change to maintain what you know as the status quo? Are you willing to change to prevent this from happening? Not all struggles have to be internal, and generally they are not, especially in things like disaster stories and stories that deal with a great chaos, again, like a giant contagion or a zombie apocalypse. Sometimes change happens around us and is what forces us to change. Things like the reality of a world war, in which your dreams are kind of now in the back burner, because the world around you has changed, and no matter how hard you try, it's unlikely that you're gonna get to have that dream you want before the war is over. So, struggle, adversity, sorrow, despair, all the great things in life when it comes to storytelling. Now, this really is about the whole of my advice. Ruin their day. Make something outside of their control happen that ruins their day. And hopefully the rest of their freaking life. Because isn't it great when life forces a character to change? It sucks for us. Oh, it sucks when something out of your control happens. Loss, grief, those things suck in real life. And they also suck in fictional life, but at least we're outside of it. Now, before we call it a video, I want to have a good old brainstorming session with you guys. I'm going to put forward a situation that is very close to the one that a friend proposed. And I want to know in the comments down below what you would do to ruin this character's day, okay? Because as much as I know that I've given you a couple of examples, I know you're all very, very, very clever people. I mean, you're writers, of course you are. I want to know what you would do in the following story, okay? Imagine a teenage boy, 17 years old, about to graduate from high school. This is modern day. This character shrugs off pretty much everything. Very smart, very athletic, slightly popular, not the most popular, but pretty much up there in that echelon of really, really popular people in school. Pretty much good at everything. Pretty wealthy as well. This character is kind of not afraid of anything. You could say that it is this privilege that has allowed him to pretty much just shrug anything that happens. One day, though, the world changes. What is happening? Brainstorm with me in the comments down below. I have given you no details of their family, of where they live, of what is going on in the world. You get to decide that and help along. And feel free if you want to brainstorm with some of the other people down in the comments down below. I think that would be awesome. Tell me, how would you ruin this character's life, day, and in turn, propel them into a story? Alright? Okay, let me know in the comments down below. Now, as always, as we're rolling to the formal outro, I want to let you know that down below in the description there's a bunch of useful links that you should definitely check out. Like my guide to how to plan a novel, a full 1-hour workshop that you can watch and follow along, a link to my Patreon, a link to where you can buy me a coffee. A one-time donation would actually mean a lot. As well as my book recommendations. What are the books I think every writer should read? There's 3 of them. Check them out in the description down below. Now, we are in the formal outro up here. Writing advice playlist, over 200 writing advice videos. That's a lot. That's a ridiculous amount of videos. Up here, a pixel face you can click on to subscribe. Over here, a link to my Patreon. And over here, a link to my other channel with my best friend Kitty, where we are very, very silly people and we play games and review anime and stuffs. Thank you for tagging along. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. And I hope you go out there and ruin lots of days. Okay. Okay.